Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Troubling times, troubling news from Bangladesh. Over 27 Hindu temples and businesses attacked. Number actually has gone up to 70, I'm afraid. And we have some information breaking, but we have a lot of other things also. Now, people have been saying that it was China which did all this thing. We have a few doubts about that too. All this and more, let's discuss with our regular guest, Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsav, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you?
Namaste, Namaste Shri, and Namaste to our audience. It is not good times to be here, so I won't say I'm happy to be here, but it is important that we talk about this.
And viewers, I have a slide deck of pictures of some of the vandalization that has taken place, and this is getting very, very serious. And this is just going to set the context for the conversation that I'm going to have with Utsav. So we are just going to start this slideshow now. But before anything else, may I request all of you to like this video. This is very important. You need to understand how bad things have become. And this does not cover what happened last night. Usually it is a night time when all these things will happen. We don't know what happened last night. So this is the picture of the ISKCON, Jagannath, in his form. And so far, we are gathering information about 70 temples. And some voluntary organizations are trying to protect Hindus. By trying to protect, all I can say is provide Hindus safe haven so that they don't get raped, killed, plundered, what have you. But their material assets are completely bare. That is what is happening, including, I'm going to show you the picture of a very famous singer whose house has also been burnt down, looted, and attacked. And this is becoming far too regular. So my simple question is, you have a regime change. And the regime change, somebody goes out, somebody comes in. What did the poor, innocent Hindus do? Why are they being used as collateral damage here? Whichever country is instigating this, I'm asking them a simple question. What did the poor, innocent Hindus do? Anyway, so let's just take a quick look at it. This is the ISKCON temple in Bangladesh's Meherpur. It has been vandalized, idols of deities burnt. It is on the border with West Bengal. So you can't say it is somewhere in the middle. They have brazenly acted all over the place, Utsav. And I'm just showing you one or two glimpses just to set the context here. In Lal Monihar district of Bangladesh, Sanatani Moitri Sanstha's members' house has been attacked. Sanatani Moitri Samsa, for those of you who don't know, this has been helping Hindus. From what information I have got, Hindus are spread all over Bangladesh, the remaining 8%. They used to be 35% in 1947. Because people need to understand all these things before they start talking about India's treatment of their minorities. So this is where they stand. That 8% that is left is now completely spread across Bangladesh. How are we going to save them? How are we going to help them? I'm also hearing, this is, I don't know if it's true or not, Utsav, you can back me up on this or not, that also they are attacking, for example, Awami offices, they're attacking Ahmadiyya institutions. One of the popular cricketers, Mashrafe Murtaza's house has also been attacked, I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. So this is the Deviganj Upazila Panchgarh district, a temple completely attacked, and Brindavan has been broken down to pieces. So far, 27 districts, Hindu businesses have been attacked, and a Hindu counselor has been killed. So this is just not on. Rahul Ananda is a famous singer in Bangladesh. He's a Hindu. His home, once a vibrant cultural hub, has been looted and burnt. Now he's at a safe place. But what does this say about what we are, who we are as a civilization? What is going wrong in Bangladesh? This has been, to me, it looks like a planned attempt. It's not representative. The people who have been attacking in the name of students, I don't believe these are students. If they are students, they are not students learning from Dhaka University or Chittagong University, whichever other university. They appear to be something else. And I'd like some clarification on that also, because from me, if I do the math, if I connect the dots, they must be Jamaat. That's all I can say. They must be educated in madrasas. Again, it's pure speculation based on their track record, the way they act. But where is justice? Where is this general? What the heck is he doing? I'm getting a little emotional here at this point. So I'll yield the floor to you. You are in the heart of this power. What do you think is happening? Who do you think is behind all this?
So let me make a few points here, Shri, for our audience, for them to better understand what is going on and how it is unfolding. So for those of your viewers, especially those who are young, who don't know the history of political disturbances in Bangladesh, let me be clear about how it unfolds. Historically, in Bangladesh, the Hindus are the first victims that are targeted, no matter what the political turmoil is about. So when in the pre-Bangladesh days, when East Pakistan, which was then part of Pakistan, what is today Bangladesh, anytime there was political turmoil between political parties in East Pakistan, the first target would be the Bengali Hindus who are in Bangladesh. So their numbers kept dwindling. They kept getting forcibly converted, killed, or they had to flee to India. So that continued from 1947 onwards, when India and Pakistan were created. In 1971, there was a cataclysmic collapse in the Hindu population of Bangladesh, because close to 3 million people in Bangladesh were murdered by the Pakistan army and their allies. And this is the underlined part. And their allies in Bangladesh, who today are the ones breaking down statues of the founder of the nation, Mujibur Rahman. So you have to understand history about where this is coming from. 2.8 million Hindus, close to 2.8 million Hindus were killed just in 9 months in 1971. You go fast forward to 1975, when Sheikh Hasina's father was removed from power in a military coup, and his entire family was murdered. Many people in India are wondering, especially I see a lot of Twitter handles of leftists who are like, why did Sheikh Hasina escape to India? Why did she not stay there and fight? Well, her entire family was killed in 1975 during the previous coup that was against her father. So at that time also Hindus were targeted, and thousands of Hindus were forced to flee to India. Many didn't make it because they were killed. Same thing happened in 1980s under the General Ershad, who was then the military dictator who took power. Same thing gets repeated in 2001, when Khaleda Zia, who is the current leader of the opposition and most likely will play a significant role in the coming days as somebody who controls power, when she came to power in 2001, thousands and thousands of Hindus were targeted, thousands were raped. And I will ask people to look up the place Bhola Rape and Massacre, Bhola, Bhola. This was in 2001. And at that time, I was a fresh out of college student. So I first got involved in these activism and analysis and outreach efforts back in 2001, because I saw what was happening in Washington, sitting here in Washington, D.C., all that was happening in Bangladesh. So just to give people a perspective, this is repeated time and again during political turmoil. And at some point of time, we have to draw the line. And those of us who are in positions of influence or responsibility in America, around the world, we need to raise our voices to ensure that the last remaining 8% of the Hindus in Bangladesh are not wiped out during this political turmoil, which is begun to happen as we speak. So I just wanted to give you a package of the overview of how this unfolds and why it is important for us to save the Hindus there and speak about it. Now, one point that you mentioned is, who is behind this, who could have been involved in the coup. I don't want to get into the geopolitical inspirations of who did it and why they did it, because, I live in Washington, D.C. But what I do want to talk about, and this is very important, is that the current interim leadership in Bangladesh is Dr. Muhammad Yunus. He is somebody who is very, very close to the American leadership and to the current administration for many years. If you want to know about what, how Muhammad Yunus's communication and closeness to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation is, you just need to Google it and you will find out. So now here comes the important part. It is important that American administration, the White House and the State Department, takes responsibility for protecting the religious minorities in Bangladesh. And when I say that, it is important for our leadership in America to understand that if you follow the history of what happens in Bangladesh when there is political turmoil, then you should be prepared to preemptively prevent these kinds of attacks that are currently happening against Hindus. And that's the part that we are speaking about. That's the part we want to present to the American administration, to the White House and the State Department whenever we get a chance to communicate with them. And this is why we are trying to bring together all our communities, the entire 5 million American Hindus, to speak about it and make a difference. Now, many people are asking us, okay, there are 2 photographs or 5 photographs floating around in social media of quote unquote Muslims protecting Hindu temples, or that's wonderful, but who are they protecting against? There is somebody who is trying to destroy them. So that's the important part. And another thing that we have to also highlight a lot is the part where these politically powerful people, socially powerful people like Siddharth Ananda, the singer, his house was a heritage house. He had more than 3,000 musical instruments in that house. He saved his life at the last moment, but his entire house, the entire heritage that he has collected, it's Bangladesh's heritage. It's nobody else's heritage. It's the history and the heritage of Bangladesh that he was preserving. He is a native Bangladeshi, an indigenous person. It's all destroyed. So the people who are rioting are not just students. Unless if you translate students as Talibs or Talibans, which also are students, who were also students in what was Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, 90 to 95% of the foot soldiers who are protesting under the guise of students are radicalized madrasa educated people. There is 10%, maybe 8 to 10% of the people who are, what we in the West would be considering as, elite, educated. That's the facade that we see. They are the ones who come in front of the TV channels. They are the ones who talk about global issues and freedom and democracy and so on and so forth. But and a good measure of that, for those of you who are skeptics and for those of you who are watching in the American administration or in the American media, if you want to measure how radicalized a population is, don't just look at the Hindus and the other minorities and the Buddhists and the Christians being targeted. That's a good measure of understanding who these. See how the Ahmadiyas are being targeted, because only the radicalized Sunnis have a desire to completely exterminate the Ahmadiyas. And as you see today, Shri, there are news after news after news items coming from people in the Ahmadiyya community in Bangladesh being targeted. So that's a open and shut case of radicalized Islamists being on the streets. And anybody who says they are not, is either lying or is trying to cover something up.
But so I have to really feel that this move is really a slap in the face for the Indian government. I'll tell you why. I mean, you can disagree with me on this. India has helped Bangladesh pull itself from wherever it was, from the abyss, to a much better economy today. $30 billion in exports of garments, and a lot of hand-holding from Modi government to the Sheikh Hasina government. Sheikh Hasina has lifted the country from below poverty to a much better point today, where it is now boasting of better prosperity than West Pakistan. West Pakistan used to boast that these brown Bengali speaking, I don't know, want to put more words in my mouth. I mean, this is how they used to look at them, look down on them. And they now Bangladesh is more prosperous than Pakistan. And it was mostly because of the help of the Indian government. By the way, many of you don't know this. Post-COVID, many garment manufacturers have, had manufacturing facilities built in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, so that they could get the workforce closer to their factories. Now, if they all pull up their sticks and move from there to India, this economy of Bangladesh is going to collapse. And by the way, whoever is your benefactor, Mr. Mohammed Yunus, you are a banker. You should be knowing this. Whoever is your benefactor, he's just going to wash his hands off of you. Then what happens? India is not going to come back this time. Once bitten, twice shy. I hope India understands that. I hope more than that, you understand it. It is your first and foremost duty when you assume power, when you grab power from somebody else, that you make sure that everybody is protected. What the heck is going on? And I have a more detailed presentation coming up. We are still gathering information that will come maybe either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, because we have a lot of data coming in, viewers. So I'm just going to put that thing. These are all the facts that we have right now. So your thoughts on, do you think this is a slap in the face of the Modi government for helping Bangladesh pull itself up?
So the way I look at it is that, globally, especially in geopolitical circles, policy making circles, it was understood that India is the most powerful player in the region, and India had a tremendous amount of influence in ensuring Bangladesh's security and stability. Now, with what has happened there, it is clearly a message which highlights that fact that India failed in its region, and India failed to, how I should put it, India failed to protect Bangladesh from coup, pretty much. And that is something that people in India, the leadership in India, should seriously look at. It will be perceived as a failure. It will be perceived as a weakness on the part of India. And let me tell you, I don't think that the story is over yet. I think there are lots of things that will unfold in the next few days. I think Sheikh Hasina was still a very popular leader, and she has millions and millions of supporters in Bangladesh, especially because of the prosperity and the growth she brought to that country and the stability she brought to that country. The rise in GDP and the personal wealth of people in Bangladesh and the general reduction of poverty over the last 10-15 years has been tremendous, unprecedented. So there will be people who will be regretting this sudden coup. There will be people who will realize that Sheikh Hasina delivered far more than she's being credited for. And I think at some point there will be a swinging back of the pendulum in Bangladesh. But India has to figure out what it wants to do next, because India's northeast, India's posture in the Bay of Bengal, as well as India's situation in West Bengal. Because let me tell you, West Bengal has far more radicalized Islamists amongst, as a percentage of the Muslim population that is in West Bengal, which is a significant number. It has far higher percentage of them that are radicalized than even in Bangladesh. So now you suddenly have a border state in India, which is now probably going to be in the hands of people who are not friends of India. So India will have serious issues to deal with. And that is something that I'm sure the government of India is looking into. They are probably very capable of dealing with it, but it's something to work on. But again, I want to underline the fact that this is not over. There will be lots of things that will unfold in the next few months in Bangladesh, and not all of them will be going the way the current leadership that took over power in Bangladesh would think they would want it to go towards. Another thing I want to highlight, Sri, and I want people to understand this, that in America, Hindu Action, my organization, the organization I work with, we are sending out a daily report. So if you follow our Twitter account, Hindu Action's Twitter account, you will see that every day we will post a tabulation of the incidents that are being reported that is specifically targeted against the Hindus. And we today posted the incidents that happened in the last 2 days, 5th and 6th August. And so far, we have documented 70 cases of attacks and atrocities against Hindus just in 2 days. So every day we will keep putting out a new PDF with the tabulation. Feel free to use it the way you want to use it. We are trying to keep it as accurate, because all the information that we are putting together is based on reports coming from the ground. But as it always happens, there could be discrepancies because people who are sending these reports are in severe distress. So they may not be able to give you the exact event as it unfolds, but they will give you the closest as it happens.
Thank you, Utsav. I think you're trying to be a little bit gentle on the Modi government. I am not. I don't have any stake in this. I don't carry a brief for the Democrats, nor the Republicans, nor the BJP, nor the Congress. I'm just a man who is trying to understand what the thing is happening. What I am seeing is the beginning of an ethnic cleansing. Please don't tell me that this is just some sporadic thing that's going to go away. Every Durga Puja, they used to do this thing. What it is a deterrent needs to be felt, not talked. What is Dr. Jaishankar saying, that we have expressed concerns for the minorities? God damn it, just 1 minute before that, he said that these things happen so suddenly. What are you telling us? That your intelligence failed you? Even if it failed, why should you have to say that thing? I am really shocked. Dr. Jaishankar is a very consummate external affairs minister. I thought that from him saying that events move very fast is shocking. Don't even say that. You don't say that, guy. You have to think on your feet and you have to react. I hope whether he said this or not is not, I hope that is wrong. I mean, these days, we have so many things coming at us. We don't know whether it is true or not. But one thing I will tell you, the needle of suspicion points away from China and towards the United States, because I'm beginning to get confirmed reports that the United States has withdrawn the visa for Sheikh Hasina. True or false? Just one question.
They have withdrawn the visa for Sheikh Hasina, and
Okay.
and I mean, look, we cannot look into what was actually happening behind the scenes. So I personally would refrain from blaming anybody at this point. But one thing that we did observe in Washington DC was that over the last 2 years, there was a stream of information, and some of it was disinformation, that was put out against the dispensation, the power that was in Bangladesh, both in mainstream American media, the legacy media, as well as amongst the circles in Washington DC that are known to be operating and watching Bangladesh. So analysts, media journalists, media that visits the State Department and asks questions. So a lot of it shows a pattern. And that pattern, if you were to look at patterns, then you can read the tea leaves somewhat. So for people who are watching this and trying to read patterns, they could see that there was an effort being made to not accept the newly elected leader in Bangladesh that Sheikh Hasina was after she won the elections. So that much I can say. That much I could observe. Everybody could observe. The rest, I will leave it for you to define and describe.
Utsav, I'm not bound by niceties here. I'm going to call a spade a spade. The American ambassador, prior to the elections, the guy was all over the place trying to prevent the opposition parties from contesting. And Victoria Nuland went in 2023. Then I heard Uzra Zeya spent a lot of time there. These are all people who work in the Department of State. What have you got to say for yourselves? And my opinion, these ambassadors, that person and bullshitty, you can connect the dots who bullshitty is. These people are wasting my money, my taxpayer money, and I demand answers from this. By the way, guys, this is going to go bad for the Democratic Party. I'm telling you again, because I will use my last breath. I'm going to make sure that Hindu Americans who can vote in US understand what has been done by you guys, if this is true. So I'm hoping that sanity will prevail soon, that things will come back to normal. All these rascals are caught and put in jail, and peace resumes. Otherwise, what is going to happen is this $30 billion government export business of Bangladesh is under risk. And once that goes out of the country, guys, US will go, China will go, whoever it is, they will go, and you will be back to the pre-2014 days. God save Bangladesh after that. This is what my take is. Utsav, I'm sorry, I'm a little, because I'm seeing so much information come at me. It is coming fast and furious, and I can see the makings of a 1971 all over again.
Well, so I would not hesitate to say that we are looking at a situation where at least it has reached the 2001 stage, where thousands of people were raped and murdered after Khalida Zia came to power. 1971. I hope that the US and India, especially India and US, these are the two countries that have the ability to do this, make sure that it never reaches that ever again. And that's why, for the last so many years, we have been running a campaign to formally get it declared a genocide. That is critical. And I would agree with you, Sri, that American Hindus, all 5 million plus of American Hindus, are really concerned and watching this very closely. That we had a community call yesterday, right after things started unfolding, and we had 40 organizations. So, Hindu Action called this call. All the major Hindu organizations in America and the Bangladeshi diaspora organizations joined this call, and the consensus amongst them was that it is now the White House's and the State Department's responsibility to protect the religious minorities in Bangladesh, to protect the Hindus of Bangladesh. It is now their responsibility. It is now their baby, what is unfolding there. So we are trying to make sure that they are held accountable and they understand the gravity of the situation. that's the effort that we have to make. And that's why we are trying to collect information and tabulate them, provide them, so that there is no excuse of lethargy or inaction because of lack of information. So that's what I would say to this.
Thank you. So we have a few questions from our viewers. So if you don't mind taking them.
Please.
Questions, please. Anand Gopalan Kidambi wants to know, this is happening in 2024. I can't believe it. Will Hindus in Bharat at least understand now? I don't see anything different from what we read about Mughal invasion and now.
Well, Anand Gopalanji, as you may have realized, now in the 21st century, things are happening that have happened in the 6th century, 7th century, and the 15th century. Nothing has changed. You would not have imagined in the year 2000 that in 2014 there would be a good group called Islamic State that would take over almost half of the Middle East and slaughter, like they did in the 7th century, nearly the entire Yazidi population and thousands of other people for the sake of what they believed is Islam. This happened in the 21st century. So 21st century is no different than any other century, only the technology is different. We are fighting the same wars, we are dealing with the same ideologies, we are dealing with the same human conditions and the human efforts that ruined things for us historically, and hopefully will make things better for us. So it is our responsibility as Hindus, in my case in America, and in your case, I don't know where you're located, in India or in America, but wherever you are located, it is our responsibility to rise to the occasion and do everything that is in our powers in the places that we are living to ensure that what happened in 1971, what happened in 2001 in Bangladesh is not repeated with the Hindu community again there, as well as with other religious minorities. And that's why we have to act fast. We cannot let time slide by, and that's what I would say.
Next question, please. Amit Bali wants to know, Modi ji has given lots of money and land to Bangladesh, all done and dusted. Who is responsible for all this? Why always Hindus have to suffer? What are doing from last 10 years?
So, Amit, I can't speak on behalf of Modi government or their positions, but as far as I can see, the government of India before Modi came to power also was very friendly with Bangladesh. Let me tell you that Manmohan Singh government and Sheikh Hasina were also very close. So it's not just BJP or Modi who is done all the things in support of, and it was a mutually beneficial relationship that was based on mutual trust, not just with BJP but also with Manmohan Singh, and the two nations, India and Bangladesh, had figured out a way to iron out their differences, because all neighbors have differences. And to be honest with you, over the last 10-15 years, even though Bangladesh is a country with 80%, 85%, 90% Muslim population, so there obviously is radicalization, especially at a time in the world where there is ISIS, and Jamaat-e-Islami is, as you can see, is an extremely powerful force in Bangladesh. So there is radicalization in Bangladesh, and when there is radicalization, there is implementation of anti-Hindu hate, because that is fundamental to the ideology of the radicals, to exterminate the Hindus. So despite all of that, I believe that the previous government in Bangladesh made every effort it could to defend and protect the Hindus. It did not succeed all the time, but now we don't know what is going to happen, because now those who are in power, or at least those who have a hand in bringing those who are in power, actually hate Hindus and could go to any degree. That is what our concern is. So that's how I would say, it's not just that India did things for Bangladesh and didn't get anything in return, but it's a continuum. You have to constantly work through this.
Next question, please. What is so-called World Human Rights Bodies and UNHRC doing? Most disgusting and disappointing. Sanjeev Trihan wants to know.
Well, you can only count on yourself and the ecosystem you have that you can bring forward to speak up for what is important. We cannot count on human rights bodies. As you know, human rights bodies, especially at this point of time in our existence, have been discredited to the point where they are merely a spokesperson for whoever gives them the most money or whoever has the most influence on them. So don't expect much from human rights bodies. I do believe that there is room to act in the United Nations, but that comes afterwards. I don't think the time to act at the United Nations is now, because it is what is important now is to have the largest player, the people who are stakeholders in Bangladesh, clearly understand that they will be held accountable for the atrocities against Hindus and other minorities. That's the only thing that needs to be put forward, because that's the most efficient way, in my opinion, to deal with the situation.
Next question, please. Lakshan wants to know what complicates a social media issue is the introduction of artificial intelligence. I picked up signs of chatbots gathering info and AI making decisions using emotional intelligence. Well, that is the reason why P Gurus exist, guys. We don't hold a brief to anybody. We speak towards, our compass points towards the truth. Anyway, I would like Utsav.
I am not an expert on these on this topic, so I don't know what to say. All that we do as an organization, Hindu Action as an organization, or myself, is to bring out the most accurate information and bring out the most relevant positions, both geopolitically and what is relevant to America, out there, and advocate for it and see where it goes.
Next question, please. Anand Gopalan wants to know, where is the ecosystem which cried for Hamas terrorists in Bharat against Israel?
Well, to be honest, Anand Gopalanji, I think that ecosystem is currently posting pictures of 4 Muslim volunteers protecting the Dhakeshwari temple and calling it that Hindus have nothing to worry about, because look, there are 4 Muslims who are protecting the Dhakeshwari temple, or 4 Muslims who are protecting the Ramna Kalibadi in Dhaka. That's what they are posting. So what we need to be highlighting is and this is the point I tried to highlight before, it's that if Ahmadiyas are being targeted, which is happening right now in Bangladesh, there is no doubt who is running the streets and who is controlling the law and order there. And in my opinion, they are radical Sunni jihadi Islamists.
Next question, please. Prashant KK wants to know your views on the call given by Jamaat asking Muslims to join the army to establish their dominance in the defense force.
Well, look, Jamaat-e-Islami is a pan-Islamist radical organization. It believes in the ideology that essentially doesn't have a process of coexistence with other belief systems unless they are second-class citizens. So it is a logical expression of their desire. The question is, how do you deal with it? If we are aware of the problem, then let's figure out a way to deal with the problem and do it legally, do it in the best and the most efficient way possible, and do it in a way where the least amount of social harmony is destroyed. Now it's up to us how we can deal with it.
Next question, please. That brings us to a close of today's program, and very, very heavy heart for me, because this is one of those things that you and I have predicted for months now, and then for the external affairs minister to say that this happened so suddenly. I don't expect such statements from Dr. Jaishankar, and I hope he did not make this statement, because these days, like I said, people can twist anything in any way and put something out. So first of all, I think Tamil Nadu government, which is anti-India, anti-Modi, anti-Hindu, anti-everything except themselves, these guys start realizing that Tirupur needs help and start working towards getting Tirupur back up and running, because I'm afraid many of the export projects will get cancelled. This is not going to stop so soon, unless this is like stopped in its tracks today. And Jamaatis are not going to listen to you. Ye laaton ke bhoot hain, baaton se maanne wale nahi hain. So this is my 2 cents, and I'm afraid that much more is going to happen before things will start getting stabilized. Big mistake on part of whichever country that broke down a elected prime minister. I mean, a country did the same thing to Iran, and look where Iran is today. And that happened in 1959. So I just want to know that I just want to tell all of you that trying times ahead, And India needs to, first of all, make sure that it doesn't sag under the weight of all this stuff. It needs to assert itself. By the way, the choice of 5th August, in my opinion, was not a coincidence. India was going to come up with the Waqf amendment. It was going to introduce a Waqf amendment bill in parliament, and promptly they did not do it. Shame on them also. I'm not leaving anybody out. You had an agenda, do it. Anyway, so this is where things stand. Thank you so much, Utsav. I know I'm getting a little on the boil here because I know some people who have to listen to some things, and hopefully that will light a fuse. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaskar.